front has touched off some severe thunderstorms throughout the Great Lakes and parts of the Midwest. A couple of tornadoes touched down over Wisconsin on Thursday afternoon, and thunderstorm winds both Thursday afternoon and evening reached 70 miles per hour over parts of Kansas and Oklahoma, and up to 60 miles per hour Oklahoma, Kansas, as well as in Colorado. Now, some of these thunderstorms also have produced some very large hail, as big as softballs in a few spots. Down in the deep south, a weak low-pressure trough is still bringing some showers and some thunderstorms as well. On Thursday, thunderstorm winds gusted to 67 miles per hour at Tampa, Florida, and golf ball-size hail fell in Seminole County in Georgia. Heavy rains across southern parts of Texas during the past couple of days. Brownsville, Texas, set a new rainfall record for the 4th of July with 3.7 inches, and 5 inches of rain has fallen in San Antonio during the past couple of days. This has brought the total rainfall so far in 1985 to 26 inches, and that's almost 1 foot more than normal for this time of year. Now, moving out into the western part of the nation, there is no stopping the heat. Thursday, once again, desert areas reached 120 degrees, and 6 more high-temperature records were set from Montana southward into parts of California. This kind of heat is not unusual, however, to the southwest in July. Last year, on July 5th, Death Valley reached 126 degrees, and Bullhead City, Arizona, 123. Speaking of temperatures, those around the nation as of 5 o'clock Eastern Time range from a hot 92, and that's found at Phoenix, Arizona, while the cold spot was Stampede Pass in Washington, where they reached 44. That's the way things check out early on this Friday morning across the nation. And Wayne, from our satellite view, we have a close-up motion sequence of some of those severe thunderstorms in the Midwest.
Right, that cold front moving through the nation's midsection has been producing a lot of strong thunderstorms right through the nighttime hours, and early this morning we've seen warnings throughout the night in parts of Indiana and Michigan. So we'll start yesterday morning at 6 o'clock. And you'll see those thunderstorms forming through the upper Mississippi Valley. One area breaking off down to Oklahoma and Kansas, the other carrying across Indiana and Michigan. Now, the other area of active weather has been down in the western Gulf of Mexico, still from the coast of Louisiana and Texas. A lot of active thunderstorms the past 24 hours. Now, our regular motion beginning at 6 o'clock yesterday morning, you'll see how the past 24 hours, a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity from the western Gulf of Mexico through the Mississippi Valley and into the northeastern part of the country. Remains dry out west. You can see the clouds circulating over the top of that high-pressure ridge, which has been the prominent feature out in the western part of the country, still firmly anchored out there, keeping the weather dry and very hot. And just a wisp of clouds down here at the southern end of Baja California. That was Tropical Storm Feifa. Has rapidly fallen apart and really not much of even a tropical depression now. Well, let's look at our very latest satellite picture taken at 5:30 this morning. 2 areas of strong thunderstorms show up in this picture. One up in the tri-states area of Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana. These have been moving steadily eastward the past several hours. And also we see quite a large area of intense thunderstorm activity. Most of it's over the water areas, but it does extend right into the coastal areas of portions of Louisiana and Texas. We can see this when we go over to the radar map this morning. If we look down in the Gulf, we can see showers and thunderstorms along the Texas Gulf Coast, tops to 45,000 feet over the water just south of Galveston Bay. These extend eastward into the Florida Panhandle, with more scattered thunderstorms generally offshore over the southern end of the Florida Peninsula. Now you head northward and ahead of the cold front, showers and thunderstorms from the western portion of Tennessee there, extending up to 54,000 feet. These extend northeastward to the Ohio Valley and up into the eastern part of Michigan. So a radar picture this morning, we'll go to Indianapolis, Indiana, and we see these thunderstorms extending from Toledo up in the northwestern part of Ohio southward to the Ohio River. Some of those thunderstorms right around the Cincinnati area in the lower right portion of the picture have intensified quite a bit here within the past hour or so. Carl?
The scorching heat is starting to push westward for the weekend, and what that means is temperatures in the 90s, 100s, or 110 or hotter for most of the western one-half of the nation. 70s and 80s right along the Pacific coast. Somewhat cooler 70s and 80s for the northern parts of the Great Lakes and into the New England states. 80s right down to the Gulf Coast, and there'll be some 90s for the southeastern coast. Overnight lows will tumble into the 50s for the Great Lakes and the upper Midwest. Then more 50s expected from the Central Plains into the Northwest and parts of the Plateau. The Washington and Oregon coast should have low temperatures in the 40s. 70s and 80s, really not very cool weather once again for the lower Colorado River Valley. Most of the Gulf and southeastern coasts should have lows in the 70s. Wayne?
Well, some less humid and just slightly drier air is working its way into the middle part of the country. When we look at this evening's forecast map, we can see the leading edge of that new air mass, the cold front running from Lake Huron southward into Arkansas. Ahead of it, in the humid air, showers and thunderstorms from the Gulf of Mexico northward up towards Lake Ontario, while from the Mississippi River on westward, we look for generally dry weather. Now, on Saturday morning's map, we find a weak frontal system trying to get organized here in the northern Rockies and the northern plains, accompanied by a few widely scattered showers and thunderstorms. But our cold front is moving through the Ohio Valley, and again, during the early morning hours, showers and thunderstorms will be found from the eastern Great Lakes southward into the Gulf of Mexico. The darkest shaded areas indicating where we have the highest probability of precipitation. Now, Sunday morning's map shows that cool front reaching the Atlantic seaboard states with rain falling from Maine southward towards Georgia and Florida. Generally dry elsewhere across the country. This cool front working its way into the northern plains will be a very weak front. You won't see much of a difference in weather ahead and behind that front. We see on Monday morning that in the eastern part of the country, we still have some lingering rainfall down along the southeast coast in Florida. But elsewhere across the country, we look for mostly dry weather. Carl?
Pilots, this will be one of the busiest flying weekends of the entire summer, and so it becomes critical for you to get a pre-flight briefing so you won't be surprised by any weather encounters. The best place to get these briefings, either your local flight service station or your local National Weather Service office. Speaking of weather, let's take a look at what you can expect early on this Friday morning. And up and down the eastern seaboard, there's patches of fog and some haze in the air, giving rise to MVFR and IFR ceilings and visibilities. Showers and thunderstorms plaguing parts of the Gulf Coast, and with the frontal system from the Great Lakes down into parts of Oklahoma and Texas. Pretty good weather as far as flying is concerned over the Rockies and Plateau, but there are patches of low clouds and fog both in the northwest and for coastal southern California. Once again, no aircraft icing of any consequence this morning, but we do have some thunderstorm turbulence up to 45,000 feet from Michigan down into northern Texas, up to 30,000 feet, moderate to occasionally severe for the Gulf Coast, and some of those strong low-level winds in back of the cold front bringing moderate turbulence there to 8,000 feet over parts of the Central Plains. Then by this evening, thunderstorms we expect over parts of the Great Lakes and down through the southeastern states with MVFR ceilings and visibilities there. And more of the same for the west coast, low clouds, Washington and Oregon, and the central California coast. Turbulence for this evening, we expect the thunderstorms to be as high as 55,000 feet over parts of the Great Lakes. And once again, temperatures in the 100s or even higher will lead to thermal turbulence up to 14,000 feet through the southwest. Then early on Saturday morning, a combination of showers and thunderstorms and more fog, we think, in the northeast and middle Atlantic states, likewise down through the southeastern and central Gulf Coast. Pretty good weather elsewhere around the nation, except we expect more low clouds and fog throughout the Los Angeles basin. Turbulence on Saturday morning. The only spot of consequence, we think, will be in the northeast, with thunderstorms will bring moderate to occasionally severe bumps as high as 45,000 feet. Coming up next, we have winds aloft, and Wayne kicks them off at 2,000 feet above ground level.
Well, here we find that clockwise high-pressure circulation right through the central part of the country, and then warm, humid air flowing northward from the Gulf of Mexico through the Appalachians and all the way up to New England this morning. Wind speeds at this altitude less than 25 knots. We go up to 10,000 feet. We see